All right, good evening and welcome to the Monday night edition of the People Show. I'm Mark Wallace, your host and facilitator here with you on intellectualradio.com every Monday night, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X, formerly known as Twitter, bringing you all of or as much of the information pertinent and pertaining to informing the audience, the community, of those issues that are important and relative, and as much as the factual data. Know that I've been doing, or I started doing these series, and I'm going to continue to do these series going all the way up to the election. I can't even talk. The November 5th election, presidential election between the presumptive candidate, Republican candidate, Donald Trump, and the Democratic candidate and president, Joseph R. Biden, and Kamala Harris. But there's been so much fodder and fiction about what the Biden-Harris administration has not done as it relates to the Black community. And I want to dispel that, right? I want to dispel that. So welcome to the program. And I thank you for being here with me again this week for this discussion. But before I get into that, there is some other news that I'm rather disgusted by. And I hope that that you are just as disgusted by it as I am. I'm really disgusted by it. And it is about what took place on this past Friday night. Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx was attacked, allegedly, according to the reports, but she was attacked while on a walk in Flossmoor on Friday. The accused, William Sweats, who was a 34-year-old resident of Flossmoor, nearly ran over Fox. Sweats allegedly told Fox to get off the road, called her a bitch. That's when she gave him a hand gesture. Sweats allegedly backed his car up and threw his big gulp drink in Kim Fox's face. The Flossmoor man is 34 and is charged with aggravated assault with a motor vehicle and aggravated battery in a public place. Both of them are felonies. Sweats can't have any contact with State's Attorney Kim Foxx. He claimed he had no idea who she was, and what difference does it make, whether he knew who she was or not. The conduct, the behavior is grotesque, disgusting, and I believe racist. He's due in court at Layton Criminal Courthouse on Tuesday, and according to the reports, State's Attorney Kim Foxx didn't suffer any serious physical injuries. I've been in contact with the State's Attorney, and I've said to her that we, as Black men in the Chicago, Cook County area, we cannot stand silent. We cannot stand by to this. We can no longer stand by and allow for these kind of things to continue. That Black women can be attacked with little to no accountability whatsoever, even though he's charged with 2 felonies. The fact that Black women can so easily be attacked or targeted, ever since Dorothy Tucker, CBS 2's Dorothy Tucker did the investigative story on the attacks against Black women and the startling statistics that came out that show that Black women are 16% of the population of Chicago, yet Black women are 30% victims of all crimes reported in Chicago. That says something to me. And I'm not sure what it says to you, but what it says to me, that Black women are easy targets and it's okay to attack Black women because nobody is going to invest much to do anything about it, with all the black women, young women that we have that's gone missing, unresolved, right? Missing cases of black women here in Chicago, in Cook County area. And we have Kim Foxx, who, in my view, has been a punching bag for people's political agendas because she happens to be a black woman. She happens to be in a position of power, and she happens to be in a position where she is administering and governing in that office with a heart of justice while holding people accountable for their action, but she is also administering justice in that office. And I know that some people like to run for that political office, and they like to use this office as a hammer and to give these political speeches of toughness, get tough on crime, so that they can get into a political office and somehow equate reducing crime to the responsibility of the state's attorney. Well, I view that very differently. The state's attorney is a prosecutor, and the state's attorney is responsible for administering justice, and she's responsible for prosecuting criminal conduct. But there is also a judgment in that prosecution. This is not somebody who should be ruling with an iron fist that just throw people into incarceration just to score political points or to give communities some placebo of a feeling or an idea that because they have this get tough exterior and get tough talk, that they are tough on crime, when disproportionately the people who get prosecuted, and in many cases wrongfully prosecuted, are black young men. Kim Foxx has taken a very different approach and a very balanced approach in terms of being a prosecutor, holding people accountable for their crimes, as well as being just in their prosecutorial decisions. We haven't seen that in this Cook County State's Attorney's office until now. And of course, mistakes are made. She's made mistakes. Who hasn't made mistakes? Who haven't made wrong judgment decisions? In any office of significance, or any office of, for that matter. But you're not going to sum up the entirety of the body of work that Kim Foxx has done as Cook County State's Attorney in one bad decision. Was it a bad decision on the Jussie Smollett? Absolutely a bad decision. Wasn't handled in the way that it should have been handled. I make no excuses for that. However, we can go down the line of bad decisions, or how many people who have been wrongfully prosecuted by her predecessors in that office and sent to prison for decades, and still get reelected to that office. And we still have men who are incarcerated for crimes for which they did not do by these get tough on crime prosecutors at the Cook County State's Attorney's office. That said, and that aside, regardless of that, this is a black woman in a position of power that people have used as a punching bag, a political punching bag or as a political opportunity to propagandize their political ambitions, and in many respects have put Kim Foxx at jeopardy. And for Kim Foxx, our state's attorney, Cook County State's attorney, whether you support or you don't support, she is the Cook County State's attorney. And she deserves to be respected, and she deserves to be secured as any other public official or any other person who serves as a Cook County prosecutor or a state's attorney or any other public official mayor, attorney general, governor, Cook County board president. Now, I don't know why there was no, or if there were any security with Kim Foxx in her home community where she lives, where she resides, which is out in Flossmoor, which is an upper middle class community. 65% of the community is Black. Flossmoor, for the most part, is a very nice community. People raise their families there and move their families there because it's a relatively safe community, and it has the environment that a lot of people would like to be able to raise their children and feel safe. But for Kim Foxx or any other Black woman to be attacked walking down the street, and this 34-year-old white male who saw a Black woman and thought that it was okay to harass or attack a Black woman. Now, he says, according to the reports, that he didn't know who she was. Well, I found out that he was outside of her home the week prior blasting his radio. Now, I didn't ask Cook County State's attorney to come on to talk about this, but I will offer and ask her if she would like to come on and talk about it. She probably won't, because the case is a pending case. So it probably won't even be appropriate, but I will certainly extend the invitation for her to come on. But not as the state's attorney, not in her role as the state's attorney, although she's the state's attorney, but she is a Black woman, a mother, a wife who is raising her children, who is serving our government, and deserves to be protected, deserves to be respected as anybody else. And I can tell you that I am infuriated about this. And what I'm more infuriated about is the deafening silence of Black men in public offices, Black pastors. I reached out today to Pastor Michael Eady, and I have insisted that they convene Black pastors, and I'm calling on Black men for us that we must call for serious actions and a serious call to action by our public officials to address what seemingly is an issue that is going unanswered. That Black women are okay targets for violence, for assaults, for criminal attacks, because there will be little to no consequences about it. Well, I think we have to put pressure, serious pressure, on the people in these public spaces to do something, something of substance, not any symbolism, to find answers to this problem and bringing a resolve to this problem. I understand the socio-political and the socio-economic conditions. It is inexcusable. Black women are 16% of the population and represent 30% victims of all crimes in the city of Chicago. It's unacceptable. It's inexcusable that there is nothing being done about it, and that it is as silent as it is by all of the Black public officials that we have, in particular, the Black men in public office. Dorothy Tucker did an extensive, exhaustive, investigative story going back 25 years of Black women being attacked. In the city of Chicago. And the one consistent thing that Black women were at the top of the heap for sexual assaults, burglaries, robberies, violent assaults than any other group. Black women. This must be addressed. And if our public officials are not going to take real leadership about this, we as Black men must stand up to show our Black women and girls that we care, that we actually give a damn about their safety, about them. Not for any, personal aggrandizement, but we must take some serious action. And we must stand on our public officials, and we must demand that they take serious action, as though that this is a state of urgency and a state of emergency, and it is. It is. This has to be treated just as serious as they treat a police officer being assaulted, shot, killed. Our Black women are being killed. In the story that Dorothy Tucker did, one of the young women who she interviewed for that story, before the story aired, was killed in her garage by a co-worker. There was an attempt to carjack her at a gas station. And before this story aired, this young woman, less than a year later, was murdered. This is serious. And as a Black man with a Black wife and Black daughters, granddaughters, Black sisters, in my view, all of our women are our responsibility. And if we can't stand up and bring some attention to this grave issue that seemingly is going completely silent. I've spoken to people who had not even heard about State's Attorney Kim Foxx being attacked. Why is that? This is the prosecutor of Cook County, second largest county in the country. And as the prosecutor who is being attacked, and it's not a one-off, according to my sources, that this person who lives in Flossmoor that this is not the first time that he has had involvement with the state's attorney. It's not the first time. So if that's what he is saying in that story that I read to you, who he claims that he didn't know who she was, but let's assume that he didn't know who she was. What difference does it make? You certainly knew that this was a black woman. You certainly knew that it was a black woman. So does it matter that you didn't know who she was? It does not matter that you didn't know who she was. That is completely irrelevant that you did not know who that was. You certainly knew that it was a black woman, that you were driving down the street and you were screaming at them, and then because you said something to them, they gave you and flip you off. It's okay for you to go back and to assault them. No, that's not going to fly. That isn't going to fly. And we can't stand for this. And I am calling on all black men, anybody who is listening, anybody who is watching this broadcast. I am calling for a special Zoom meeting. I've posted it on my Facebook page. I posted on the Facebook page. I'm going to send out a text alert about the meeting. The Zoom meeting is going to take place tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. And I am asking for all black men who actually care to please join me in that Zoom meeting and let us discuss how we are going to organize and we are going to galvanize ourselves together to put demands on the governor, to put demands on the attorney general, to put demands on the mayor that they must do something. All of these agencies, that they must do something, as well as our congresspeople, as well as our senators, everybody, all hands must be on deck, and this must be critical. There must be an acute focus on dealing with this issue of black women being attacked and there be no accountability. This has to be addressed. That Black women, 16% of the population, but yet represent 30% victims of all crimes reported here in Chicago. This cannot be. This cannot be normalized. We are not going to adjust to this abnormality as being normal. We are not going to accept it. And we must rise up as Black men. This cannot be Black women's fight. This has to be Black men. We have to show our Black women and our Black girls that we actually give a damn. We cannot be a part of the enablers of saying, by doing nothing, saying to those who would harm our women and our young girls that it's okay. That's your easy target. That's essentially what has happened. That's essentially what's been happening. Yeah, we have, these marches and we do these protests about missing girls and missing young women. And we do that for a while, but then we go right back into our usual routines. We have to have an acute focus on the issues that negatively, disproportionately impact our communities. The good things that happen, great. But there are still some grave problems that have been neglected and continue to be neglected, and we certainly cannot stand by. And we cannot allow for any of them, any mayor, any governor, any public official, to be comfortable to get any kind of rest and not address this with an acute focus to bring some resolve to it. You and I, Black man, we must take a stand. Black pastors, roll up your sleeves, take off your custom suits, put up your alligator shoes, get out of the comfort of your confines. And it is time for you too to hit the streets. It is time for you too to stand up. It is not enough for you to stand behind the confines of your pulpit. It is time for you to come out from behind your pulpit and take to the streets. And for you to become a voice just as well. This is for all of us to take a stance on what's going on. I'm going to ask you, if you are not, I'm going to put the text alert to get involved. Text 10x10 to 855-909-1385 so that you can receive the text alert. You can get the Zoom. If you're not on Facebook, you can go on my Facebook page, The Peopel Show, and I have it listed there with a photograph of the suspect If we don't stand up, and if we are not going to stand up for our black sisters, for our black wives, for our black mates, for our black daughters and granddaughters, if we, our neighbors, your daughters, we're all responsible for them. If we don't make a big deal out of it, how in the world do we expect that anybody else is going to make a big deal out of it? If we don't find them to be important, who else do you think is going to find it to be important? Who? I can't think of anything more important to talk about. Yes, I may get to, but I want to drive this home. I want to drive this home. Those of you who are paying attention, contact your friends. Invite your friends to come on and join right now to listen to what I'm talking about. If they don't watch any other time, ask them to come on right now. It is beyond upsetting. And it's beyond personality. It's beyond ego. It's beyond any of that. We need to see and find out just how many of us actually care enough to put whatever petty differences that one may have with anybody and put the subject matter of the safety of our black women prioritize over any of this, over any of it. I was astonished at the story that Dorothy Tucker did. And the one person who made a comment was not even a black man or a black public official. I then, once I learned about this, because it upset me, it had me feeling inadequate. It had me feeling as though I have not paid attention. I have not done enough, obviously. It also moved me to taking action. It also moved me to being angry, sad, and all of those things. I got up the next day and I went to Mayor Brandon Johnson's Dr. King Interfaith Breakfast. At the Marriott Hotel for the sole purpose not to go there to eat eggs, not to go there to listen to flowery speeches or to shake hands and hobnob. In the freezing cold, I went there for the sole purpose. My focus was to speak to the mayor's aide. I spoke to Christian Mitchell. Is that his name? No, Christian Perry. Christian Perry. And I sent a message to the phone of the mayor that I thought that it would be a travesty on the day that we are commemorating the birth of Dr. King, who marched and fought for justice, that this investigative story that came out that Dorothy Tucker aired for the first time about Black women being the targets of violent crime, of 30% of all the violent crimes reported in Chicago, of all crimes, 30%, 16% of the population represented 30% of all victims of all crimes reported, of all crimes reported. I spoke to Christian Perry, and I tried to emphasize it. I also spoke to the candidate, the then candidate for the Cook County State's Attorney, Clayton Harris. Sent him the actual story, sent the actual story to Jason Irving, sent the actual story to several, sent it to David Moore. I sent it to several, sent it to Walter Burnett. I sent it to several of the Black public officials. Not one iota of a response from any of them. Not one. Don't care what it is that they may or may not think about me. The fact that you would not respond to Black women speaks volumes to me. And it ought to speak volumes to you. That our Black women are under attack. Our Black women are at risk greater than any other ethnic group. And there's no sense of urgency. I'm calling for you to join that meeting, and let's first see how many of us will respond to the call. This is a call for all of us to respond, to demonstrate publicly to our women that we get it and we're not going to allow for you to be at risk. We're not going to allow for the public officials to rest without taking some serious actions, coming up with a strategy, coming up with a plan to address this at every facet and every level within our public administrations, within our government, to deal with Black women being at risk, at safety risk, worse than any other group in Chicago. 30% of all crimes. Now, somebody wants to say, well, who's committing these crimes against these Black women? That is a question. That's a question. The more important question Why is there not a strategy to deal with something that you now have information about? That you now understand is a grave problem. It is a huge problem that requires a huge response. You know, it's one thing to not know that something is in the condition that it is, so you can't do anything about it. Now that you know about this issue, you can do something about it. We can do something about it. It's now upon us. And I've said even to Dorothy Tucker, when I first saw the story, we had her on the program talking about her story. I had her on the program talking about this story, and I'll find some of the clips because it was just riveting to me at dealing with this issue. As a matter of fact, Kim Fox talked about how she had never talked about it before. But here, yet it is again, Kim Fox, our state's attorney, one of our sisters, who was being attacked, who was being unprotected. That somebody feels as though it is okay that they can carry out that kind of assault against one of our sisters. That there seems to be no fear in attacking Black women. Here's a little of Kim Fox, who talked about her experience that she was reluctant to talk about with Dorothy Tucker.
Their voices are not alone. Even the county's top prosecutor is weighing in, not only in her official role, but as a survivor, over and over again.
So who am I? I am Kim Fox. I'm the Cook County State's Attorney.
I was sexually abused by a relative from the age of about 5 until 7.
It is our position, based on the facts, the evidence, and the law.
I was sexually assaulted on my way home from school by 2 strangers when I was 8 in the Austin neighborhood.
We believe that in this case, justice has been served.
I was sexually assaulted in college as a 20-year-old at Southern Illinois University. Yeah. There have been moments where I can feel, smell, taste what happened to me. And I find myself saying to myself, look at the leaves.
Look, I'm gonna do a clap thing, just for safety.
We wanted to interview the county's top prosecutor to get her reaction to our CBS 2 investigation.
I was heartbroken.
It's very aggravating.
Rage keeps me up at night.
A 20-year analysis revealing how Black women in Chicago have always borne the brunt of crime. They make up only 16% of the population, but account for an alarming percentage of victims of violent and nonviolent crimes.
I'll be honest, Dorothy, I did not want to look at your story.
We now understand Fox's initial response. Her trauma is generational.
My mother, my aunts, my friends, myself.
Fox has publicly acknowledged her childhood abuse.
I am a crime survivor.
At a survivors rally, in a crowd of women and men,
I was sexually assaulted as a child.
Fox explained the importance of speaking out.
I am here because I want more than anything to make sure that what happened to me does not happen again to me or to any of us.
As a Black woman walking into the world.
Fox finally found the courage to watch our story.
And out of respect for you and your work, I did watch.
She also found the courage to be more candid with us about the little girl with a big smile.
I was in my mother's womb. I was in my mother's womb, and I wasn't safe.
Fox's mother, Ganelle Wilson, was 8 months pregnant with her baby girl, living in the old Cabrini Green housing development and getting ready to celebrate her son's first birthday when a stranger broke into their home.
And she woke up in the middle of the night to find a man standing above her with a knife, threatening to kill her if she didn't tell him where the gifts were that he saw her bringing in for my brother's party. So for the entirety of the life that my mother had, that I lived with her, she never had a peaceful night's sleep. And we learned to live with her screams.
You remember those screams?
I sleep with those screams.
This story and these stories, we have to live with them as Black men. They have to live with that trauma. We should not have any peace. When our sisters, when our women, our wives, our mothers, our children are living with this kind of trauma. I told you about Sierra Jameson. Sierra Jameson was a young woman that Dorothy Tucker interviewed, there was an attempted carjacking. Take a look at this clip.
I get in my car every day and I'm concerned about what will happen to me. You know, I don't know if today's the day somebody want to carjack me. I don't know if today's the day that they want to rob me. I don't know. And that's scary about being in Chicago and being a Black woman because we are not protected.
Consider a mundane trip to the gas station. In 2022, 66 Black women were carjacked or robbed at the pump.
I was filling up my gas for the week. It was over the weekend. I was filling up my gas for the week, for the work week.
Sierra Jameson was one of them.
I had a young gentleman come up to me and asked me, did I smoke? I said, no, sir, I do not smoke.
She wasn't driving this car. She was driving her prized 2018 black Jeep Wrangler. That's what the man wanted.
He was like literally coming right here. Bitch, give me your keys.
Even though he had a kitchen knife, this single mother and aspiring nurse with a 6-year-old son with autism said no.
What made me say no? Because I observed him. I could tell that he was really, I could tell that he really didn't know what he was doing because he was flinching, he was nervous.
She also saw 2 other women nearby who had her back and a bat.
So So I'm doing this. I said, give me your bat, give me your bat. So he did me like this. He let go, then he ran.
Jamison was naturally relieved, but then she got angry.
It was a few men here after the incident saying that this young man was standing here the whole day.
But he didn't attack anyone until she came along.
Not sure because I'm a young black woman, he wanted to target me. I know he didn't target the man that came up and through here. I guess he feel like I was gonna be vulnerable, be like, huh, get the key, but no, he got the wrong female.
We need to take you back to Sierra Jamison's story. Remember, she survived the attempted carjacking.
I'm grateful. I went home to my son. I thank God every day that I'm here, because it could have went a different way.
Jamison went home to her son on that day. But less than a month after this interview, she was the victim of another crime. Only this time, she would never see her son again.
We're honoring her legacy. We're honoring her life.
Jamison was murdered just days after celebrating her 30th birthday, found strangled inside her garage, her body lying next to her Jeep Wrangler. The family released balloons in her memory.
My niece is no longer here in flesh, but my niece is always in here in spirit.
We cannot allow for this to go on as black men, and we sit by or stand by or move in our daily lives as though it's normal and we're comfortable. But we find every other excuse. Or we try to anesthetize ourselves by pretending that it doesn't happen, so that we don't have to face the reality of it is. It's a real thing. And the only people, as I always continue to tell us, that are going to liberate our people is we, our people. I don't care what your position is. I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care how much money you have. What's important is how much money you have, what our status may be, wherever we may be in this socioeconomic structure, wherever we may be. If we've got a conscience, we cannot be comfortable. We cannot be comfortable knowing what we know about what's happening to black women, what's happening to black women right in front of us, right in front of us. While we're planning to go to the next fun event, while we're planning to go on the next trip, while we're planning to go buy the new car or the latest new motorcycle, while we're planning the next barbecue, looking for the next holiday event, I want for this to prick our conscience. I want for it to prick our conscience that you cannot be comfortable finding it so easy to be comfortable. Wherever you are, whatever it is that you do, whoever you are, as a Black man in Chicago, Cook County, or the state of Illinois, whoever is watching this, I hope that you share this or you tell this to the Black men in your world. That they not be comfortable at brushing it off. And if they brush it off, wipe it on them some more. Ingrain it into their head, into their conscious, into their mind, that it makes them uncomfortable. That it prevents them from being able to just have a good time and forget about what is happening. What happened to Kim Fox is being normalized. And every Black woman who walks out of her door is at risk of being attacked, and the attackers are doing it at will because the attackers understand that attacking Black women is a low risk activity. Because Black women seemingly have been devalued as collateral damage. Because of these grave numbers that you can go out and attack Black women, and it doesn't move anybody to any sense of urgency whatsoever. I can't think of anything that is more critical. I can't think of anything that's more critical that we need to be talking about. I know that I'm supposed to be talking to you about, and I'm sure at some point in time that I will educate you, inform you, and explain to you what is going on in the Biden-Harris administration. Well, I can tell you one thing that has to be added into that agenda is the protection of Black women, the security of Black women. That is something that I know that I will be reaching out to the Biden-Harris administration and their campaign that must become a critical part of the agenda as to how we're going to protect Black women from being the leading targets to crime that goes unresolved. That it is so easy to attack Black women because it is a low risk activity. The probability of being held to account for attacking a Black woman is not very high. So they're easy targets. That's got to be a component. That's got to be in the equation, because 16% of a population representing 30% of all crimes reported in Chicago. That has to be a part of the equation. What also has to be a part of the equation is that now that you know what you know as a result of this conversation and the conversations that you will go and spread to the Black man in your world, in your family, in your diaspora. That we can bring significant attention to a significant problem. That we can bring so much attention that it will attract the attention of the White House. It will attract the attention of the Vice President. That it will attract the attention of our mayor. That will attract the attention of our Cook County Board President, who happens to be a woman. That it will attract the attention of our governor. That it will attract the attention of our Attorney General. That it will attract the attention of the other, in particular, Black male public officials. That they can't rest. I don't want them going to sleep tonight and having a good night's sleep. At least I don't want them to go to sleep too many more nights sleeping comfortable, knowing that this problem exists right outside our doors. That Black women are being targeted. Black women are being targeted. Here's part 2 of Kim Foxx's interview with Dorothy Tucker.
Fox's childhood memories are gut-wrenching. This is where the leaves come in.
I don't talk about it in depth publicly often. Because if you dig down into it, it is almost like it happened yesterday.
The year, 1980. Place, Austin Community, near Byford Elementary. The second grader was on her way home from school when she was snatched and raped by 2 men. She did what she had to survive.
The survival technique when you are being assaulted in that fashion. I remember it was an abandoned building, looking out at a tree and focusing on the leaves.
The leaves. Today, they're a reminder of her strength.
In the grips of the most difficult time of this job, I would write daily, look at the leaves. It'll be over.
Despite her heartbreaking history,
by day of week, by location type,
with race, sex, and age, Fox found the data, the numbers, the hard truth.
Jarring.
Here's what hit home for the survivor of sexual assault. Black girls suffer more than any other group. From 2001 to 2022, for every white girl attacked and injured, there were 18 Black girls hurt.
You couldn't have told me that it was that bad, but when I think about, well, who do you know that hasn't been a victim of a crime?
Even as the county's top prosecutor, Fox was stunned by the findings in our investigation.
We have a real problem here. We have a fundamental issue with valuing Black women across all measures.
The real issue?
What is it that it makes it difficult for us to see the difference between an R. Kelly victim and a Harvey Weinstein one?
Is there something before you leave that you will try and do?
I think in this last year that I have to be intentional around the focus on this class of victims, because it has become incredibly clear that this has been an ignored class.
Fox will turn to Black women to help her focus.
It's urgent to me in this administration to do all that we can, both internally with our policies and practices and externally with our partners, and most importantly with the communities that we serve, to bring them in to figure out how collectively we address this issue.
Her commitment to support a commission on women and girls.
That harm happened to me 40-something years ago. And I still struggle to talk. I think being vocal about my own experience and the freedom that I then think it gives to others to say what has happened to them.
Talking, says Fox, about those painful, agonizing lived experiences is necessary to spark change for Black women in Chicago.
And this is generations in the making and will take a significant amount of time to address. It's urgent. It's urgent.
It is urgent. We don't have all the answers, but the conversations are starting, and we are committed to tracking this epidemic and working towards a solution so we can all feel safer in the communities where we live, work, and love. If Black women feel like they're targets of crime, they have good reasons. Look at the stats. Simply going through their daily lives makes them vulnerable. Last year at grocery stores, 277 Black women were preyed on by criminals. In and around Chicago parks, 162. Even in the sanctuary of a church, 47 Black women filed police reports. And on the public transportation so many rely on, 769 Black women faced assaults, batteries, robberies, and other crimes just trying to get to work, return home, or go to school.
It's grave. It's grave, and it's not going to be solved overnight. But it'll never start to get solved if we don't get involved. If we're not pushing, if we're not nudging, if we're not aggravating, if we are not demanding actions of those people whom we pay with our tax dollars, they ought not be comfortable. At any level, should they be comfortable? There is no room for them to be comfortable, and there is no room for us to be celebrating or celebritizing these people who are in public office. We put them there to resolve big problems that we have, big problems that we exist. And we are not in any one way saying that it's going to be easy for them to do it. However difficult it may be, it is necessary that we address it. And we can't begin to bring some resolution to it if we don't begin to work hard, work jointly, and to be tirelessly working at it to get it done, to make some progress. Because you won't fix a problem until you start. These are as the state's attorney said, and many of us, I know that I have not been easy or at ease about this since I first learned of it 6 months ago. It is as fresh on my mind as the first time that I saw the story. There is no better, more important body of work that Dorothy Tucker has ever done in the 30 some odd years that I've been here in Chicago watching her work. I believe that this is more than just another story. I believe it is a call to action for every one of us. For every single one of us. It is a call to action. It's a call to action. What are you going to do? Are you going to help? Are you going to help me bring to all of our attention, in particular men? This has to be led by Black men. We have to demonstrate to our women, to our girls, that we are not going to stand by idle while people are attacking our Black women. I was downtown maybe 2 weeks ago. Not much more than 2 weeks ago. Walking outside of the county building, 118 North Clark, there was a Black woman who was standing there, and I heard her uttering something that, she doesn't feel comfortable, doesn't feel safe, and then there was a white man who was talking rather loud and saying something to her kind of aggressively. And I was walking out of the building, and I turned around and I walked over to her because she said she wasn't feeling safe. And I walked over to her and I asked her, I said, are you okay? And she says, I'm not feeling safe. I'm not feeling safe. And I said, I walked over to the man and I told him, I didn't walk up on him, but I stood in between her and stood in between where he was and told him that he needed to move along. And he started uttering to me that he was a minister and what he was doing, but whatever he was doing was making her feel very uncomfortable. And I could not feel comfortable moving along with this woman who felt uneasy, had no idea what this man would do. But I'm telling you that this is what we must do. This is what we've got to do. We have to protect our women. We have to protect our daughters because they are under attack. And for some reason, the people doing the attacking feel comfortable attacking and targeting Black women at a much greater rate than they do any other group of people. Now, I'm not suggesting that anybody should be attacked. Any group of women. But what we are learning is that Black women are attacked at a far greater and higher rate than any other ethnic group. Why? Why is that? We don't know the answer. Well, part of the answer is that they become an easy target. Why are they an easy target? They're an easy target because Black women are devalued. A Black woman being attacked is not going to get the same attention as a white woman being attacked. A Black woman is not going to get the same attention as anybody else being attacked. 16% of the population, 30% victims of all crimes. The numbers are astonishing. But what happened to the state's attorney on Friday just puts an exclamation point on this. That people feel like it is an easy target and they feel so comfortable at going after Black women. Now, what's more egregious to me is how silent we are about it. And I am going to nudge. I am going to reach out to all of these so-called well-connected people of status, pastors, preachers, politicians, all of these people of status. I'm going to reach out to them. And I'm calling upon them to call upon their constituents of clout that they can get in contact with and see if we cannot convene a massive attention getter, bring significant attention to all of those people who are in positions of power. Senator Dick Durbin, Senator Tammy Duckworth, Congresswoman Kelly, Congressman Jackson, Congresswoman Underwood, Congressman Danny Davis, all of these people on the federal level, the 22 Black state representatives, in particular the men, the 10 Black state senators, in particular the men, the 20 Black aldermen, the 17 Black mayors of the South suburbs, the Attorney General, Kwame Raoul, all of the black males in position. You want to talk about reparations? You want to talk about repairing the breach? Repairing the breach and reparations is about protective justice for black women. I don't want for us for a second. I want you to aggravate every person that you know, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many it is. I want them to be nudged. I want for their conscience to be pricked. I want for them to know what this situation is. I want them to know it so that they don't have an excuse for saying, I was unaware. I didn't know about it. I didn't hear about it. You make them hear about it. You let them know what is going on. It is beyond upsetting. It's beyond upsetting. And I'm trying to segue. I'm trying to segue into what I told you all about. But I'm segueing into it in a different way because I want to look at this in the context of how this is, and seeing what we have. If we have something in the budget or something in the plan that is there for the protection of women, this is what I'm looking for. There's a lot of stuff in here. So I want to see if there's something specifically that talks about protecting black women. There's nothing that talks about protecting black women, although there's a lot in here. But I don't see anything about bringing protection to black women from violence. I don't. But that's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. And I'm not going to deal with it tonight. going through the Biden-Harris administration. Please forgive me. I know that we were supposed to be talking about that, but we're going to have plenty of time for me to educate you on that, to inform you on those policies. But I have to talk about this. I have to talk about this, and I'm only going to be on for a few more minutes talking about this, because I'm going to have to get in contact with some people after the program. After I go off the air, I have to make some phone calls. I'm going to call Pastor Edie. I want to find out what kind of progress has he made, or if he's made any progress at all. I want to talk to people that I know. I just text Martin Johnson and said, let him know that we need to collaborate on getting the word out. And I want to have some conversation with some other with some other men to see what we can do. So again, it's a little bit it's a little gut-wrenching, but it's important. But I have hope. I have high hope that we can, and we shall, and we will do something. We will make something happen. It will take a bunch of us to do that, to put an emphasis on this, to make our public officials respond. If David Moore can go sleep outside where there is an open air drug market, go sleep on a vacant lot. I don't know if he's still out there. If a bunch of us black men, I mean a bunch of us, not just 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I mean a bunch of us, 150, 200 of us, 300 of us, 200 of us, and we held a call to action, demand press conference for action from the governor to our senators, to our congresspeople, to our mayors, all of our public officials. You got to do something. You better do something. If you don't do something, we will do something. If you can't do something, we don't need you in that position. We don't need to pay you to do nothing. We don't need to have you in a position of, I can't. We don't need to have you in a position of, I want. We need people in a position who will find a way and won't rest until they find a way. Those are the kind of people that we need in our public positions to pay. I don't need to pay some scaredy cat. I don't need to pay someone who, is flippant and who gets insulted or irritated. We don't need to pay that person. We don't need to have them there. We don't need to have those people in position. We need to have the kind of people in position who are the I cans and the I wills, and we must. Those are the kind of people that we need to have in a position. So we need to start our report cards of those who say they can't, whether it be in word or deed, and those who say they will and they do, and they demonstrate it. We need to start taking names. Excuses won't get it, but we need to start taking names. Listen, that is important. For us to pay people who are in these positions for $120,000 or $130,000 a year, $200,000, whatever it is that we're paying them, we're not paying them to be weaklings. We're not paying them to be people of I can't. We are not paying them to be people who can't and won't find solutions. That's not what we pay them for. We're not paying them to go into some sort of clubhouse with their other colleagues and insulate themselves with each one of them. That's not what we're doing. And we have got to abandon that type attitude of celebritizing people who are serving in political public office. They are public servants. Public servants. They are not public kings. They are not public VIPs. They are public servants, public officials, public servants. And I don't know anybody who knows about servants. Servants aren't at the head of the house. They aren't the main attraction. We must get out of the business of celebritizing people who are in public office. They're in public positions to serve the public. All right, listen, that's going to do it for me tonight. We're ending a little bit early tonight. Want to ask you, please, if you have not, all right, if you haven't, please make sure that you join 10 by 10 to Win's text alert. Text 10x10 to the number 855-909-1385. We've got a lot of work to do. And we have to do it together. And we have to do it in the numbers that we need so that the lifting of the load is not overtaxing for any one group or persons. And I promise you that I will steer and guide this ship, that you will not be disappointed, you will not be misled, you will not be mistreated, you will not be misutilized or misused. Now, every human being is put on this earth to be used, not misused. There is a difference. We're all put here to be used. We're not put here to be misused or abused. So let's put ourselves together. Let's work together. Text 10x10 to the number 855-909-1385 to get into the text alert. I'm going to be sending out updates, and certainly I'm going to send out that Zoom update. that Zoom link so that we can get this message out. The meeting tomorrow night is for Black men. It's for Black men. That's what tomorrow night's meeting is about. It is for Black men. I'm going to see if I can put it here. Yeah, I'm putting it here in the chat. I'm putting the Zoom link in the chat, and you can join the Zoom meeting tomorrow night. And you can pass this on to other people tomorrow night. Pass this on to other people in your area. So yeah, so I'm putting this up. Okay, and inviting you to special scheduled Zoom meeting for Black men to address Black women being attacked in the wake of State's Attorney Kim Fox being let's see here. Okay. All right. So there we go. All right. Well, listen, that's going to do it for me tonight. Please pass that information on. Pass that information on. I'm going to leave it there for just a couple of minutes, and share this. Please share this with other people that you know. Share it with Black men. Share it with others. All right. And we are going to deal with this situation. I am not going to allow for us as Black men to sit idly by while our Black women be attacked, be misused, abused, and there's no accountability and there's no price to pay. We cannot do this. God would not even have it. We're responsible for protecting our family and protecting our women and our children. We are responsible. So for all those who want to carry on like they are the stuff, this is the stuff of real Black men, making sure that we are providing, that we are protecting our people. All right, that's going to do it for me. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for listening. I apologize that we did not get to the Biden-Harris administration's accomplishments. I promise you, I'm going to make it up. I'm going to make it up. We're going to do a program this week, and we're going to make it up to deal with that, because that is important. It is critical. But we're also going to be challenging them to add this in as specifically a part of the agenda. Thank you all for tuning in to the Monday night edition of the Peopel Show. Thank you, intellectualradio.com, for carrying us this program every Monday night on your outlet. And you can get the program. You can go on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, also on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter, if you want to relook at the program or you want to share it with somebody else. Thank you all very much for tuning into the broadcast. And I'll see you right back here Wednesday night, 9 o'clock, with Judge Leonard Murray for the Legal Hour at a brand new time on Wednesday night, 9 p.m., answering your legal questions. So any legal questions that you have, you can write them in the chat. We'll read them off, and he'll answer your legal questions. So the Peopel Show's Legal Hour every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock, or this Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. Usually we're on Tuesday night, but it's going to be on Wednesday night this week for the Peopel Show's Legal Hour at 9 p.m. Make sure you tune in for that. It's going to be a great one. Talk to you soon.